It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! Did he get it?
What's up, everybody? Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. It's a Friday. You made it to Friday. You made it to March. One of the most wonderful months of the year.
Yep. It's
Conference tournaments.
It is truck
NCAA,
month, Eric.
Truck month. That's why it's one of the most wonderful months of the year.
It's also the month that we've said is the Irish. We've given it to them. I don't even know if they wanted it, but gave it to them, apparently.
Yeah, that's right.
It's also March Madness, everybody. Welcome to the madness. I got this month's broadcast calendar dropped on my desk, and there's that wonderful week where there's college basketball games, including a couple days where it's wall-to-wall basketball all day.
Yeah, we're excited to once again be able to partner with our national partners to bring local coverage of the NCAA tournament. We'll be also carrying somebody else's conference tournament. I think we got an arrangement with the Big Sky.
Yeah, I think the Big Sky
Championship, which will be heard here on the Fan.
Yeah.
We'll be here at the America East Championship. SEC
East
semifinal and championship games. So we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, we're the home of college basketball here, not just the Aggies. Of course, obviously that wall-to-wall basketball will cut out our show for a couple of days, but we'll see.
We will happily yield.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can provide. I know sometimes we'll go to like a 1-hour podcast special edition. But depending on what happens that weekend, I may or may not be around.
That's true. You might be points unknown covering Utah State.
Yeah, that would. So it'd be ideal for me to not be around those days. But we'll see.
Yeah.
And of course, during conference tournament week, Eric's going to be alone for anywhere between like 1 and 4 days.
Yeah, we'll still see if we can have you join in remotely.
Yeah, we'll
on
make,
location.
We'll make plans to try and have me remotely, but you'll
Yes.
just be in here by yourself on the radio with maybe my ethereal voice to accompany you.
Yes. Today, the new commissioner of the Pac-12 was officially introduced, Teresa Gould. She's been part of their conference. She's been on their staff, and she was elevated to commissioner today after they parted ways with George Kliavkoff. And so they had a press conference today. She was there. The president of Washington State University, Kirk Schulz, he also participated. And they had some opening statements. And then they opened it up to questions from media members. And it went for about 45 minutes. And they covered a variety of different topics. The Pac-12 network, or coverage of women's athletics, and what's the future of broadcast of home games. A lot about college football playoff and what's going on with this new proposed format. But they did discuss relationships with the Mtn West Conference and what that future might hold. With is that relationship going to get warmer between the two conferences? They also have a deal worked out with the West Coast Conference as well. But it was kind of interesting to hear the new commissioner of the Pac-12 talk about it, and the president of the of Washington State weigh in on it as well. And getting to one of the comments from President Schulz is that clearly there's an awareness here that they have to be good partners, and you kind of get the sense when you hear him talk about it that it's almost a recognition that in the past the Pac-12 has looked down its nose at conferences like the West Coast or the Mountain West, and they are not necessarily groveling here for help, but they've been knocked down a few notches, and they have to work together. So here's some of his comments about needing to work together with these two conferences that are helping them with all of their athletics.
I want to look at it and say, if the positions were reversed, how would I want to be treated and so forth? What I would not want is to bring somebody in who quickly, the first thing they're talking about is leaving and what they can extract or get out of a particular relationship or situation. I just think that's not a good way to work. On the other hand, both those conferences know that we've got a multi-year window here where there's got to be some final landing spot for those two schools. And so I just think we got to keep communications open back and forth. We got to make sure that we don't sort of come strutting in there thinking we're just better than everybody else because of where we were before. We'll wind up getting our ass kicked if that happens. But I do think it's really important for us to keep that partnership there, keep the communications open. And, we're counting on Teresa to work with her commissioner colleagues in those two conferences as well on what future partnerships could look like. So I just think you'll see us being careful with language. We want to be respectful to our new conference partners. And we've got to keep our eyes on the horizon on what's best for our two institutions.
Yeah, so there was some kumbaya, I guess, trying to have an air of, we're going to work together to make this work. And granted, the Mountain West is in a kind of a tenuous situation because the Pac-12 could have easily picked off some of the schools to just reform the Pac-12 and demolish the Mountain West, but they're trying to work this out so that all parties still like each other and make life successful for as many people as possible.
Yeah, and the Mountain West is really trying to protect the integrity of the conference. Gloria Nevarez isn't trying to make a power move to just, have her try and become the new commissioner of the Pac-12 and take some of the teams with her. I don't know if that was ever an option, but she's very much trying to keep this conference together and is using every bit of leverage they have. That's why when you look at the scheduling agreements they've made, they're very favorable toward the Mountain West and are not allowing any room for the Pac-12 to try any shenanigans as far as picking off part of the Mountain West and just reforming. Because if Washington State and Oregon State could do that, they'd have done it. Like, we know they would have. They'll speak these platitudes. We know they would have just done it if the Mountain West hadn't stood up to these two schools.
Yeah.
Not to say there's completely bad blood between them. Everyone's just looking out for their own interests. Pac-2 is looking after their own sake, and the Mountain West is doing the same for them. So the question is can the two come together and realize, hey, maybe our interests are aligned and we can just all join together?
One thing that was interesting early on in her introductory statements is that Teresa Gould said, and unfortunately I don't have this clip, but she made it pretty clear that the Pac-12 is Pac-2, but the Pac-12 under her leadership will continue to be bold and aggressive. And so she said that in the context of, we believe that we should still be an automatic qualifier. We should still be considered a power conference. But also there's some overtones too that they have a 2-year grace period, but they're going to need to do something after that. And so keep those thoughts in mind with what she said, and then what Schulz also said about trying to remain a West Coast focused conference for the future.
I moved out to the West Coast 8 years ago. I love the West Coast sports scene, And I think it's really important that we have a top tier conference on the West Coast that is for all sports, that allows our student athletes to compete at a really high level, and means that we also can manage travel and things like that, not just from an expense point of view. People talk about that too often, but the impact on student athlete performance, the impact on their classroom performance. And guess what? Somebody comes to Washington State or Oregon State to participate in our community, be part of Pullman, be part of Corvallis. They're not interested in being part of something on the East Coast or in the Midwest. And I think we just got to keep that as a core principle in mind. How do we build? How do we grow? What's our vision look like? And let's do it on the West Coast, where that's our footprint. That's our psyche. That's all part of being a member of the Pac-12. And it's important to keep that alive and thriving moving forward.
So I think that signals, they're not interested in trying to be a part of something that's going to span the entire continental United States. And they're not really even that interested in something that's going to be even the Midwest. So American Athletic Conference seems to be on the fringe of probability of some of the schools that they may be interested in.
Well, it's because
so there's really only one option.
They know they can't attract anyone from there. Like and this is the PR speak. They're doing all this because they know they don't have a chance. So they're trying to speak all these platitudes and PR speak and whatnot. It's like, if they could go out and get teams for the American Athletic, they'd go out and do it. Now, there's maybe other reasons besides just purely money, because maybe they want to focus on the West Coast because that's their best option. I'm not saying it's complete, like they can't do it, so they're going to pretend they never wanted to. But that is part of it. So, and part of what they're talking about with the Mountain West. I know Schulz talked about other Mountain West venues and getting used to playing in those venues and having a chance to go see new. Like, he's very much like trying to talk up the situation like as a positive. And he's trying to pitch this as a positive thing that they can. And that's that's part of being leadership, is you got to talk positively in tough times.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just kind of funny to see him talking all these things up, and it's like, look, you're in a kind of a bad situation. Maybe don't pretend that it's all good, all roses and kittens.
Right. Yeah. If the Big 12 invited Washington State and Oregon State to be in their conference, they would have accepted.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be talking about how excited they are to go see Mountain West venues.
No. If the Big 10 had invited Washington State and Oregon State to be a part of their conference, they would have bolted.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have spent as much time talking about West Coast and how much it means to them. And
no.
It's like, I become less interested by these press conferences. There's some things you can dig out of them. I think there are some things I got out of Gould?
Teresa Gould.
Gould? Yeah, Teresa Gould. There were some comments to listen to her, at least the ones more specifically about the Mountain West. To be honest, it more or less confirmed my own thoughts about what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and so let's get to that. She was asked point blank about some of the language in the scheduling agreement, which is over 100 pages between the Mountain West and the Pac-12 to help Washington State and Oregon State with future scheduling for the next few years. And there is specific language in there about potential for a merger or even a financial penalty for poaching schools. And so she was asked point blank about the possibility of the two conferences coming together on a more permanent basis.
Yet, right? We've been very much focused over the last couple months in finding homes for all of our sports. That has been the short-term priority, to make sure that all of the programs on both campuses have a viable home for next year to compete, to have access to postseason, and to deliver a great student-athlete experience. And certainly our conversations with the Mountain West were part of that. And the football agreement was critical in advancing those goals for us. We haven't yet begun these conversations with the Mountain West yet. And I would say, in terms of the future, as we mentioned earlier, our obligation to our programs and our student athletes is to stay open-minded to all options, right? And we really do feel that there are going to be a lot of different options on the table that we need to consider and pursue.
So they keep mentioning that there's this other option, or there may be other options out there. Mountain West isn't the only option.
Yeah, what option do you have?
The only option conceivably is that Stanford and Cal get tired of their coast-to-coast travel for all their Olympic sports. And they throw a fit and say, this isn't working for us. We want to do something different.
Yeah, somebody needs to ask them point blank, like, what are these other options?
Yeah. What other option do you have?
Yeah, because in this...
unless it's one where football as a whole breaks away from the traditional college structure as it's currently known.
Yeah, that's possible. Like what I've been saying on this show for a while now is that the Pac-12 is going to drag this out as long as possible, and that answer pretty much confirms that. They're going to drag this out as long as possible. They will examine all options. You know, we joke about them having 0 options, but that's just right now. Things can change. You know, you talk about Stanford and Cal. They're going to have to go through I don't know if they're going to get tired of that in just 2 seasons. That's going to take a lot of public backlash for the end, internal backlash with those other programs for that to finally collapse and for them to get tired of it. Of course, that's only if the money doesn't end up shutting everyone up or
right. Well, the ACC is in trouble as it is anyway with Florida State and other issues.
Yeah, and so things can fall apart. But even then, if it's just Stanford and Cal that end up coming back, because I don't know if Washington and Oregon, like Arizona State, Utah, they're probably going to just be fine permanently in the Big 12. I don't think they really have any reason to ever come back.
Yeah, the four corner states are probably going to be fine.
Yeah, because they're fine geographically. They'll be in a good conference, and whatever Pac-12, if they all end up coming back for some reason, they're not going to be all that much better off coming back to the Pac-12. So say Stanford, Cal comes back. Okay, there's 4 teams.
You need 4 more.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Mountain West keeps standing up to what would then be a Pac-4, I don't know if they could still break through because they'd still not be. They have that pile of cash, but that pile of cash would have dwindled a little bit. And again, what does a Pac-4 plus Mountain West really command money-wise? Would they really be willing to break through that big financial wall the Mountain West has put up just to form Mountain West plus? So. But anyway, there's something that could happen that we don't foresee. We're not gods on here. We can't figure out what's going on. But based on what it looks like now, we're just going to slowly drag this out into a merger with the Pac-12.
Yeah, so some interesting comments today in the introduction of the new commissioner for the Pac-12, also their president of Washington State University involved, Kirk Schulz, along with Teresa Gould. You referenced it, but we'll just play it just so everybody can hear just how excited he is to come to Reno, Nevada.
I'm looking forward to our fans seeing some additional new football venues. And I know we've got some terrific venues in the Mountain West. We got some terrific locations. It's another thing. It's easy to talk about what's in that contract and have those discussions started. I'm also eager for our fan bases to go to some new places in the West and enjoy coming to Las Vegas, Reno, Hawaii, just go through some of those different places. I think in welcoming some Mountain West programs to Pullman and Corvallis. So I think I'm also looking forward to that. It's easy to get caught up into, what the conferences are going to do together. I think I'm looking forward to hearing from our fans what the fan experience is like, both for some Mountain West fans and some Pac-12 fans in the fall. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, and he kind of pushed his way in to make this comment. Of course, he's already made a comment almost identical to this, 5-6 months ago or something like that, where he was in some kind of presser type. Well, it wasn't a presser. It was really just kind of a one-on-one with I forget who he was doing, but he was being asked questions and he was answering them. And this is something he brought up. Was like, yeah, I'm excited to go to see other Mountain West venues. Like, sure you are.
Yeah.
It's pure PR speak. But, good for the Washington State fans. You're going to have to get used to that because you're not getting any better. So
yeah,
maybe you should be getting excited about that because that's what you're going to be seeing for a while. You get to see the other side of football. one where there's not as much media attention on you and all that.
Yeah, the Pac-12 championship will occur in the regular season when Washington State plays Oregon State.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So anyway, some interesting comments nonetheless. Teresa Gould and Kirk Schulz comments today in a press conference introducing Gould as the new commissioner of the Pac-12. And just as a side note, she is only on as commissioner through this interim period. After this 2-year grace period that these schools have to be still recognized officially as a conference, that is only as long as her contract is as the commissioner. So it's a very much probationary period. Let's see how you do to manage this very interesting time in the history of the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So interesting side note. I've got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. Coming up next, there's some rule changes being proposed for college football. Do you like them? Are schools like Utah State going to be able to adapt? How will it affect the game? We'll discuss that coming up on the other side of the timeout here in the Full Court Press.
Beezer Lock and Key specializes in securing your world with their expertise in locks, keys, and hardware. Every aspect of their services is meticulously tailored to ensure your safety. They offer a vast selection of hardware brands and access control options, along with custom master key systems. With Beezer Lock and Key, you have control of your facility's access 24/7. For 28 years, Beezer has provided top-notch security solutions that stand unmatched in the industry. Visit 4th North, 1st West, and Logan, or go to beezerlock.com to discover more.
Have you heard? The Young Caring for Our Young Foundation has officially helped over 3,000 children in need with the Kind Fund. Not sure what the Kind Fund is? It stands for Kids in Need and is a revolutionary program that helps children get clothes for school. Here's how it works. Educators identify students in need of clothes, shoes, coats, or other items and submit a request for Kind Fund assistance. Then, a volunteer is given a $150 gift card to shop for the child. Once the volunteer shops for the clothes, they deliver them directly to the school, where the educator can give them to the child. We're looking to help children in need in Cache County, and we need your help. Visit thinkcaring.org/kindfund to become a donor or volunteer and help kids in need. Again, that's thinkcaring.org/kindfund. Think young, think caring.
Many Aggie fans like to go to the game, some fans love to yell at the TV, and all fans like to wear a shirt or a jacket with their favorite team's logo. Aggie fans find the best selection of USU logoed apparel at Locker 42. Find yourself an Aggie t-shirt for $10. Locker 42 features Aggie logoed hoodies, jackets, and golf shirts, and a hat wall with over 40 styles. Women's specific apparel, youth sizes for the junior Aggie, and toddler and infant Aggie items as well. Locker 42 is a store for Utah State fans by Utah State fans, and proud to be part of Aggie Nation.
Girls, insist he take you to Jarek's. Picking out your wedding ring is an experience you will never forget. Come to a place where the mood is right and the setting is perfect for romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan, the perfect collection of memorable designs, classic creation, and modern marvels. If you want an intimate, romantic experience you will never forget, then insist he takes you to Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
Students love their experience at New Horizons Beauty College.
As soon as I walked into New Horizons, I instantly got a warm welcome. When Amy was giving me a tour, other students came up to me and were so friendly, I already felt like I was part of the school. Once I get into the salon, I look forward to making others feel beautiful and confident. My name is Audrey, and I'm a student here at New Horizons Beauty College.
Begin your career in cosmetology at New Horizons Beauty College, 753-9779.
Snow, rain, or sunshine, the Utah weather is unpredictable. This is Mark, an injury attorney with the Advocates. No matter what the weather is in Utah, we all need to be aware while driving or even walking into your favorite store. If you've been injured in a car, trucking, or slip and fall accident and haven't spoken to an injury attorney yet, call the Advocates today. There is no cost to you to find out if you have a case. Chat online at utahadvocates.com or call 801-355-5550. You deserve an advocate.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Always love to hear from you as well. 435-339-0321. 6436 texting in. Any thoughts on why Oregon State wasn't part of this broadcast today?
I think it's mostly because the Washington State AD has generally been the more vocal one, and his,
president, not AD.
Excuse me, not the AD.
Yeah.
He had a full his own 40-minute Q&A. Like they mentioned last time, where 40 minutes, sat down, answered questions, put out a few statements. I think Oregon State has put out a statement or two through their president or AD.
Yeah.
But they've not been as vocal. And so I think Washington State's just kind of been pushing this. And so I think that's where they put him in there, plus the AD, put more in there maybe, or excuse me, the
new commissioner.
The new commissioner, excuse me. After that, maybe it would have been too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
As far as a presser. So you just focus mostly on, obviously, the new commissioner. That's where she took most of the questions. But Washington State adding a little bit there as well.
Yeah, and usually there's in your conference you have a board of governors or whatever you want to call it, board of directors, and those are made up of all the school presidents or chancellors, whatever their title may be.
Yeah.
But usually there is one among them who is the top person.
Yeah, like the chair.
The chair. And
Chairman, chairwoman, whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's what this was today, is that Kirk Schulz at Washington State has been the designated chair of the board to speak on behalf of both schools.
Yeah.
I think that's all that was. I don't think they were intentionally leaving out the Beavers. They were just, again, there's only so many people you can have on one of these press conferences, so have the person who's designated as the chair to be the voice, and that's what he did.
Yeah, because obviously Oregon State would have had their own input on what they wanted to get across in this, presser. It just would have been through the mouth of somebody else.
Yeah. So I don't think they were just being left out. It's just that's how the assignment went.
Yep.
That's where the roles are. So today, besides that, other news in college football, there's this NCAA Football Rules Committee met and proposed some new rules for college football that could be implemented as early as this fall. And there's a number of them. And some of them are real specific to new technology that's out there, that's being utilized at the higher level, that could be utilized at the collegiate level. And with all the stuff about sign stealing that became big news this fall, it just seems appropriate that this moves along. Though Georgia coach Kirby Smart, who's been on this committee, he's the co-chair, he's been on this for several years. He says this has been discussed for a while now. This wasn't accelerated because of all the news this fall. But they're talking about implementing technology in headsets so the play can be sent in right into the quarterback's headset. And you don't have to look to the sidelines for all kinds of weird gimmicks, weird signs, and people dressed in different colors.
Yeah, who's got the brightly colored hat, and who has the big billboard or whatnot. And for some teams, this could be a big deal. For others, not so much. I don't know if it would be that big for the Aggies, because the thing with the Aggies is that they don't huddle up a ton. Obviously all teams will huddle at some point, but that's where the value of, the radio headset, in the quarterbacks. He's the only one. You'd have one player on defense, one player on offense, can have that radio communication. For offense, it's really only useful if you huddle up. And the defenses don't huddle up nearly as much anymore because a lot of times they have to face these, no huddle offenses.
Yeah, hurry up.
So if the offense isn't huddling and the defense can't huddle up, there's no point in telling the middle linebacker, the quarterback, what the play is, because 11 people have to know what the plays and coverages are. So for the Aggies, this application is incredibly limited. There could be some benefit on the road where, although, and again, I guess signs, aren't obstructed by noise anyway. So I don't know. I just feel like this, for some teams, obviously helps them a lot. Could help them a lot. If they're huddling up, send it to the quarterback, he gives the play, can speed things up a little bit for them, if they even want to speed it up.
Yeah.
For the Aggies, not so much. They're going to have to communicate to all 11 players quickly anyway.
Right. Your logistics will change a little bit. Instead of having everybody rush to the side up to the line of scrimmage, act like they're going to do a play, and then stand up and look to the sideline to change it, they're going to all of a sudden look to the quarterback and
they could
hear what he has to say.
Although the Aggies may not even choose to do that because, like, if you already have a system, why change it? Why make the quarterback know all those signals anyway, make them? And it's difficult for the quarterback to come up with as many different types of signs using his hands as they could just using their signs. And it's easier to just change those week to week. So I don't even know if the Aggies will implement any of this. I imagine maybe they'll try, or maybe Blake Anderson's just been waiting for this moment to implement some new way to, get the message to his team. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. And best bet we will be asking about that.
Yeah, and what's interesting, though, is that the communication is cut off at 15 seconds.
Yeah, and that's
on
typical.
on the play clock.
Because they basically do that in the NFL. I don't know if it's exactly 15 seconds for the NFL, but that's what they do there as well. It's cut off after about half the play clock.
Yeah, so you still have to make your decision and get it in. Sometimes we've seen the Aggies go up to the line, do a checkoff, and then come back, and it's winding down, and they kind of have to hurry up.
Yeah, and so if they went down to that 15 seconds, they would then have to go to whatever signs, since they do obviously call those audibles. The coaches will send in the audibles after doing maybe a hard count.
The other thing that stands out to me on this is that if you're in a ball game, both teams don't have to agree to use the technology before the game. So you could have one team that is using the technology and another that isn't.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the holdup for this, is the idea that if they're going to implement it, they implement it for everybody. And, like, for instance, in the NFL, if one team is having struggles with their communication, they shut it off for both teams. And so it's this idea of equality that everyone has it or nobody has it. And that's been the general holdup. With college, maybe just come in and say, look, and there's also worries about, like, can every single stadium for all 133, I don't know how many there are, if it's going up from 133, can they all put that into their stadiums? The answer is yes. It's simple technology. It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
But, yeah, and the thing is, this is for FBS only, actually. This stuff, I believe, at least stuff about the communications to the helmets,
right.
I believe it's FBS only.
Correct.
There's also a thing about using tablets on the sideline, which we'll see if teams use that as well. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Just a quality of life improvement if they so choose to use it.
Yeah, that includes the broadcast feed of the game, camera angles from the coach's sideline and the coach's end zone. There are some restrictions on that. So that you can have 18 active tablets. That's from the coaching booth, sideline, and the locker room. It can't be connected to any other devices, so you can't like project it onto a screen or something like that. You can't use analytics or data. You're not supposed to access any of that with the tablets. It's just a video feed only.
Yeah, essentially it's just more real-time film review. Essentially,
which I think is great.
Yeah, it's a small, like I said, potential quality of life improvement for those who find ways to be able to use that technology.
So just as you come off the field, okay, this is how this play worked right,
Yeah.
or this is how this play did not work right. How do we improve it next time we're in this situation?
Yeah, for coaches who want to be able to make adjustments, they'll be able to make them. They'll be more informed about those adjustments they can make.
One other rule change that is proposed, using an automatic timeout when 2 minutes remain in the second and fourth quarters.
Yeah, 2-minute warning. And this is the most substantial one. It's largely there for commercials, but it will have an impact on the late game because, as we've seen in the NFL, when when the game's coming down to it and you are trying to get one last score, or even when you're trying to run out the clock, you have to adjust for the 2-minute warning. And obviously what it means, it being an automatic timeout.
It's an automatic timeout for everybody.
The clock will stop at 2 minutes or slightly under 2 minutes.
But it also, according to this, some of the details on this, it helps to synchronize all timing rules, like a 10-second runoff, stopping the clock when a first down is gained in bounds, things like that.
Yeah, it kind of helps with that. But it is also about
it's about
putting in commercials,
providing another opportunity for TV partners.
Yeah. It does do those things. Obviously, they're not lying when they say that it helps with those things. But
yes,
we also know that it's not like that was a huge problem for them last year.
One other, before we get to the text line, one other is a proposed penalty for horse collar tackles that occur within the tackle box as a 15-yard personal foul. Currently, there's not a foul for that inside the tackle box. It's not considered a foul.
Like on a non-ball carrier?
Yes.
So I was about to say, a horse collar tackle is a thing.
Right.
But this is on a non-ball carrier. I guess.
Yeah.
That's one of those where I have to defer. If they're putting in a rule, it must have been an issue for some people. I have not seen it, but I'm not going to say that I've watched every single game for 133 teams. If they think it's a problem, somebody suggested it. It's not like I have a problem with that. You probably shouldn't. There's a reason the horse collar tackle is illegal. I guess maybe make it illegal for. But then again, how does that happen without it being a hold or something anyway?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if you're an offensive lineman doing it, it's a hold. I guess if a defensive lineman does it, I guess it's not necessarily foul. But why is a defensive lineman horse collaring an offensive lineman?
Just shedding them, getting them out of the way?
That's not really a natural move. You have to be behind someone to horse collar them. For the most part.
Or to the side. But yeah, either way.
It doesn't make sense for me, but like, it's like saying it's illegal to have a pet whale in Utah. It's like, okay, makes sense, but I don't know why you're making a rule about it.
To the Full Court Press text line 6436, I guess a reference back to our conversation about the Pac-12. So not that Oregon State has an alternative path versus Washington State not having one. Yeah, in our discussion about why was Oregon State left out of the broadcast today. No, those two schools are in lockstep. They're in equal position. It's not that one school has a position over another. There's nothing like that at all.
They're trying to figure this out together. It's just Washington State was at the forefront with their president being in there as opposed to Oregon State.
Yeah. 9315 texting in thoughts on Blue A man helping BYU. I think we have 2 to 3 really good QBs that can make communication easier this fall.
So the first part was because Blake Anderson was spotted at like BYU's spring practice or something like that, wearing BYU gear.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Blake Anderson, so obviously he's the guy who helped fund the Blue A Collective. So I don't know what to make of that.
No. Whatever. Okay. But I think we have 2 to 3 really good quarterbacks that can make communication easier this fall. I mean, that's Utah State has good quarterbacks. Yeah. And I don't know that there was poor communication before with the quarterbacks.
It's just, again, the Aggies would have to change some of their current system, of sending in signals for them to really utilize the most of this, radio headset in the quarterback's helmet. They may very well use it. I just don't see it being that much of an impact either way. Because, again, they send these signals out to all the players, and if they're not huddling up a ton, then it's not really useful.
9315, as in head of the Collective A helping BYU, is that a conflict of interest? Again, I don't know what the story is here.
Like I said, he was just at their.
What does that mean, helping BYU? I don't know what he did to help BYU.
Yeah, I guess he was just there. I don't know what helping he was doing, but like.
Gary Anderson is very well connected to a lot of different people throughout the state in football.
Is he going to send Blue A Collective funds to BYU?
Yeah, I don't
Is he going to tell people to
story.
Not donate to the Blue? Like that's the thing is basically that he was spotting being with BYU at their spring practice, so presumably some level of help, working with the coaches, maybe coaching gets. I don't know. It's not like it was a big deal, but like, I mean, say yes, they hired him as a defensive analyst for spring ball. Like, again, like he was a founder, but it's not like he's the one guy running Blue A Collective, and even if he leaves that spot, like. He's not the life and soul of it. Like
no.
It's kind of weird. Like, admittedly, it's weird. A guy who started a collective for one school is now going to that rival school, but I mean, he spent time at basically every single university that plays Division I football at this point. So
yeah,
like he's allowed to live his life and go wherever he wants. Whoever wants to give him a job, he can go take a job.
And he knows Kalani very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever. There are other people that run that collective. He's not the only person.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's a little weird, but that's kind of as far as that goes.
Yeah. Guy's connected in coaching. I'm not surprised that he's going to be called on to help with coaching.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. You need to take another time out here in the Full Court Press. If you want to weigh in, certainly you're welcome. 435-339-0321. We've also got Pick 6. We didn't get a chance to do it yesterday, so we'll fit that in today. Also, Utah Jazz on the road last night, losing to Orlando. They're on the road at Miami tomorrow. What are we seeing out of this young team and kind of where this Jazz team is right now? We'll discuss that next on the Full Court Press.
Wouldn't it be nice to lose a minimum of 2 to 5 inches of fat just like that? At Bell Medical, with our uniquely patented FDA-cleared procedures, we are able to permanently remove that stubborn hormonal fat that almost seems impossible to get rid of. And we are able to do it in a way that is so precise, we can guarantee a minimum of 2 to 5 inches of fat loss after 1 visit with us.
Schedule your free consultation at our Bountiful Clinic at bellmedical.com and let us make your dreams a reality.
Imagine your wedding day. Elegant, simple, yet stunning, stress-free. It's your day. It's all about you. Whether you're looking for small and simple or have a grander idea, the Riverwoods Conference Center will accommodate your every need. Choose the inside ballroom elegance or outside along the natural decor of the beautiful Logan River. A Riverwoods event planner will work personally with you to make sure your event is exactly how you've envisioned it. The Riverwoods Conference Center, where your happily ever after begins. Google Riverwoods Conference Center or call 750-5151.
Do you like to gamble on your appliance? You don't have to. This is Jay at Daryl's Appliance. Only at Daryl's can you apply up to 100% of the diagnostic charge towards the purchase of a new or scratch and dent appliance. Plus, get Daryl's exclusive 2-year warranty on your scratch and dent purchase and Daryl's legendary service. Remember, we always service what we sell. Experience the Daryl's difference. See store for details. Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road.
See Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006. Rely now on a York Affinity Premium Comfort System to keep your home cool and comfortable. The new Affinity systems are smarter and more connected and more efficient than ever before, and you can cut your energy costs by as much as 50%. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, to schedule a free system evaluation. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning showroom is west of DI and online at advancedheating-ac.com.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Hey, while we're still talking football, I should mention this. Bekesi Vakauta took to social media today to announce that he's going to be transferring and leaving Utah State. Now, he'll be a graduate transfer, but that's tough. Could have used his experience on that defensive front, not having him available.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock, this kind of late in the game for him to be, announcing that he's transferring, but there's not much you can do about it. Obviously, yeah, you mentioned losing a guy with experience. The Aggies have brought in a lot of defensive linemen, but not enough to fill out an entire rotation. They would have had to rely on guys that were already there to still, fill in that rotation and or start. It's not like the guys coming in were just these automatic starters.
Right.
So they needed that Division I experience, which, I think a lot of the guys they brought on that defensive line are JUCO guys. A lot of them are. There's a couple D1 guys, but.
And I know there's some changes with the defensive coaching staff as well.
But that's where it's like, it's weird that he waited this long. It's like, I don't know. I don't know why he's transferred. There's a million reasons, but it's just a little weird that it comes this late in the game. But obviously, a lot of things can happen that make a guy want or feel like he needs to leave.
Yeah, true. Last night, Utah Jazz took on the Orlando Magic, and the Jazz, they were competitive in the game through 3 3/4 of the game, I'll say. Jazz, it was anybody's game until about the final minute and a half, and then just a team that's maybe a little bit more experienced. They're both kind of young, but a team that's a little bit more experienced than the other.
I feel like just more talented. That's probably the thing.
Yeah, it's just probably two.
Orlando's young. Like a lot of these guys are young. First, 3-4 years. Like 3 out of their 5 starting lineup, I think it's within their first 3 or 4 years. A couple of them within their first 2 or 3.
But a few little mistakes, few mental errors for the Jazz in clutch situations, and the more talented team made the better plays, and the Jazz ended up losing 115-107.
Yeah, and the Jazz are starting to reel again. Have they actually won a game since the All-Star break? How long is it?
Yeah,
been?
they beat San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
It's their one win since the trade deadline.
Gosh, dang it. That's going to be rough. The Jazz are dropping like a rock. And they're losing to mediocre to bad teams as well. Like they beat San Antonio, who's one of the worst teams in the league right now. Victor Wembanyama, not being able to carry any team to the wins even as a rookie with his, very fun style of play. But yeah, it just feels like it's the same old story. They play slightly better defense, but just not performing the way they need to get wins. This is a team that's clear. Like, you play the rookies, and it's pretty clear this team's not very good.
Right. It's all about right now getting these young guys playing experience.
Yeah, they're not going to get playoffs experience at this rate.
No, playing experience. But look, Taylor Hendricks, it's kind of interesting watching him because over the last several games, he's been drawing a pretty tough defensive assignment every night. And I think he's been holding his own pretty well considering his circumstance and not having a lot of NBA minutes. So it is kind of interesting watching him play and develop and showing what potential that he does have.
Yeah, we're seeing good defensive flashes out of him, as a weak side blocker, as an on-ball defender. To be honest, well, that's what we expected. So it's nice to see those. Like, when you drafted Keontae George, you saw a guy who, okay, this guy can maybe be a bit of a scorer. He actually showed more flashes as a passer, so that was kind of a cherry on top. But you expect Taylor Hendricks to be this guy who could be a 3-and-D at the power forward / kind of small forward. I guess combo forward / maybe small ball centered. It's kind of hard to define what position he really could play, but he is showing that potential. So it's nice to see. It is coming at the cost of wins because you had to. First off, you're playing a rookie. Second off, you send off some veterans that were helping you win. So we're having to see these flashes, the things I've been whining about wanting to see. Well, this is the price. You wanted to see Taylor Hendricks. I wanted to see. I should point in my direction.
Right.
I wanted to see these things, and it's coming at the cost of wins. So is that worth it? Probably. The Jazz weren't going to do anything anyway this year. We'd prefer them to be winning and seeing flashes, but you can't have the cake and eat it too.
Right. You need a long view. Well, what was their ceiling with the team anyway? I mean, with the team that they had, were they...
we were talking like 6 or 7 seed?
Yeah.
As their ceiling.
At the very best. And they probably weren't getting out of the first round.
Yeah, so that's why, nobody's ever happy seeing the Jazz lose, unless you're really rooting for a tank, in which case, go for it. Tank note and all that.
Right.
But, yeah, the Jazz are, it's looking like they're starting to commit a little bit more to dipping down, trying to get top 10 picks, trying to just find somebody, get lucky. They're not going to be taking all the way to the second or first, top 3 or 4.
No, there's no way they can overtake San Antonio, Detroit, or Washington.
And they may not even be able to do that next year. But they're going to be trying to get those 6 to 10 range picks, maybe get lucky and jump into the top 3. But we'll see how that goes.
Jazz play tomorrow at Miami at 3 o'clock. It'll also be on NBA TV besides here on The Fan. I got to take another time out, and when we come back, pick 6. I'm trying to predict 6 things that could happen this weekend That's next on the Full Court Press.
Hello, I'm Brian Webster, Vice President and Relationship Manager at Cache Valley Bank. As an experienced banker with deep roots in Cache Valley, I thrive on building meaningful relationships, supporting my customers, and providing personal attention to everyone I work with. I'd love to have the opportunity to provide you with that same level of service. Stop by our Logan Mall branch or give me a call and let me show you what opening an account with us can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Are you seeking the best in healthcare services in Northern Utah? Look no further. Aegis Healthcare has been voted the best of Northern Utah. I am Jason Jones. We take pride in providing top quality home care and hospice services to the residents of Northern Utah. Experience the difference with Aegis. Our dedicated team is here to provide compassionate home care and hospice services tailored just for you. Call us today at 723-9000 or visit our website at myaegis.com. Aegis Home Health and Hospice, your trusted partner right here in your community.
Your search for copiers and printers should include Les Olson IT. There you'll find sharp copiers with powerful technology giving you one-click scanning your office software programs. You'll find reliable HP printers that help your work groups get more done. And you'll find Ricoh graphic systems for professional quality prints. You'll find local supply delivery and peace of mind knowing you're covered by the best service in the industry.
Les Olson IT.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way.
It's the Full Court Press Pick 6.
Ever since March Madness ended, I am so bored.
6 things we think will happen this weekend.
I don't know how the whole betting thing started, but it's fun.
Yes, I have 3 lines. Jason has 3. He even threw in a tiebreaker. PAT. Jason's on a bit of a winning streak here.
Yeah, I think I'm on like 3 in a row or something like that.
Yeah. So you get to choose if you want to go first or defer.
I'll let you go first this time. I think I've gone first the last 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Games that separate teams 1 through 6 in the Mountain West standings on Sunday. 1.5. So if you take the over, it'd be
the
2 or more.
1 versus number 7.
Yes. 1 through 6.
1 through 6.
Setting the line at 1.5. It's very tight between 1 through 6 right now.
I'm going to take the over.
Okay, I will take the under. Taylor Hendricks, his plus-minus at Miami. -5.5. So if you say over, that's -6, -7, like that. If it's
So it's
under,
worse.
it's more in the positive direction.
Probably should be the other way around.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. Yes, actually. It should be the other way around.
I'm going to take whatever's worse, though. Worse than -5.5. So
Okay.
that's the under.
That'd be the under. So I'll take the over. And then big showdown in women's basketball, college basketball this weekend. Number 6 Iowa versus number 2 Ohio State on Sunday. It's going to be 11 a.m. on Fox. Caitlin Clark, 25.5 points.
I'm going to go over.
I will take the under.
All right. Okay, here are my 3 lines. Utah State rebounding margin against Air Force. Over, under, 5.5.
I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under. Boise State going up against New Mexico. I kind of pulled this line up by myself. Boise State by 2.5 against New Mexico at home.
I'm going to take the over.
All right, I'm going to take Boise State as well. And then LeBron James likely to get his 40,000th point. I think he's 9 points away from eclipsing that mark, so he plays, I think, tomorrow. So assuming he gets his 40,000th point, will it be on a 3-pointer or free throw? So I'm combining that. 3-pointer / free throw or a 2-pointer.
Oh, interesting.
Where he reaches 40,000. Doesn't have to go over, but reaches 40,000.
Reaches. I'll say 3-pointer / free throw.
All right, I'm going to go 2-pointer.
Okay.
But he broke Kareem's record on was a 2-pointer. So I like that one. All right.
Okay.
Then tiebreaker. Just we'll go simple on this one again. Jazz, they're They're 7.5-point underdogs against Miami Heat. Take the Jazz or the Heat to cover that?
I'm going to take the Heat.
I'll take the Jazz. I have to do that. Should have moved the line further. Oh, ye of little faith.
Yes. Yeah. That's probably one of the easiest lines of the day. For me, at least.
Yeah.
On Monday, we'll recalibrate everything and see how well we did. And look back at the numbers. Shout out your radio, how you think you did. It's always kind of a fun way to preview the weekend. Some big games in college basketball as we're getting now near the end. You got some big top 25 showdowns nationally, but certainly a big one tonight for the Utah State Aggies. Pregame on our sister station will start at 8, tip-off at 9. It'll also be on FS1 tonight. And check back on CashValleyDaily.com for the full recap and more details and photo galleries.